Well, here we are, another question and answer, and our favorite student is here, Jimmy. And Jimmy, how you doing today?
Oh, well, you just woke me up in time. Yeah, all that suspense. Yeah, okay, here we go.
It's all that turkey and heavy gravy that you ate.
Yeah,
I'm
that you
confused.
didn't.
Something's different today.
What are we gonna do?
He took my seat. He said he wanted the king seat because he felt like he's at the top of the heap of the upholstery world, and I
That's a
congratulate
cotton
him.
heap.
Or coconut fiber, either one.
Oh.
Jimmy. Jimmy made himself a coconut cream pie for Thanksgiving. I hope that everybody had a good Thanksgiving.
I'll make one for you and yours if you'd like.
Well, just don't put any coconut fiber in there, and I'll have it.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I did want to mention before we get going is a little funny story. Jimmy is in the transportation business, and I wanted to mention something about we're kind of spoiled, aren't we, with today's transportation because
Well, here in Boston, we have a lot of bus routes, and they come from North Shore, South Shore. We have the commuter rail. We have the subway system here.
I just have one word: shocks. Shocks. It has suspension. We have suspension in all our vehicles, right?
Yeah.
I was reading in a story about the old carriages the old carriages with the horse-drawn carriages and the Wild West and everything. Do you realize that people used to get broken bones and concussions in those things? They had no suspension in those, Jimmy. So let's say you leave Dallas for Fort Worth in one of these carriages, and the ladies are all dressed out in their silk dresses, and the men are brand new. Tex has his brand new outfit.
That didn't last long.
By the time he got to the other end, they needed a doctor to mend them. Seriously.
Well, you know what? When you look at some of the movies, you'll see like the old wagon.
It doesn't show that. It doesn't show.
I don't think there really actually was any suspension to that.
No, there's no suspension in wooden tires.
But when you had the formal carriages, basically just for people alone, that's when I think they may have started realizing, we need a little bit of cushion here because those wheels were.
I'll tell you, cushions don't even do it. No seat belts. So I see a lot of these.
No AAA.
No AAA. I see a lot of these westerns where the ladies all have the beautiful hoop skirts and the silk, and their hair's perfect. They got that whatever they use in their hair, and they're powdered up, and they walk out of that as fresh as they were walking out of the dressing room.
Like
right?
you and I do first thing in the morning.
That's another story for you, Jimmy.
All this banter reminds me of a comment on there. Someone said they love the banter.
Oh, somebody loved the banter.
Read that one now, Jimmy, now that I mentioned
Jimmy, there's 1,000 people who don't, though. Remember that?
Yeah. Just remember, thank God we don't have a live audience, and we can,
Well, we do have a live audience.
Not in person.
Not in person.
For me.
But we used to, remember? We used to say that you were in the back row, and you would make your way down, Jimmy, and come up to the front.
Yeah, you throw me like in the very back of the,
Somebody watches just for the banter.
No kidding. Hey, there you go, Jimmy. Speaking of banter, what's he talking about?
So the Upholstery Show Live, Happy Thanksgiving Day show from Leslie. Really enjoyed these shows. Tune in just for the banter. Thank you, Leslie. I know we talk about he kind of rambles on.
Yeah.
His nickname is the Rambler. So
Jimmy's so articulate and well educated and put together, isn't he? All right, Jimmy. Do you want to just keep going with that now since you hog the limelight?
Very quick, just a few comments. This is Tufting for Beginners, and this is from Leslie again. Perfect, Kevin. Thank you. Love the fabric. What is it, please?
I can't remember that video, but that was a diamond tufting video, and it actually brings up a good point. I was thinking about that while you were working on this. Mm-hmm. And Jimmy's going to talk about his update on his online classes, making great progress. It's a long journey on these pieces because we break it down so much.
Yeah.
I'm not just an upholsterer upholstering on the YouTube video, and I've seen those, and I'm not saying anything against anybody else that runs YouTube videos, but I find that you really do need to, especially for beginners and people later on too, and the journeymen. You need to break things down, and I was thinking that's the difference, isn't it, you guys, between us and others? Especially on the online classes where it is a paid at Upholstery on Broadway, by the way. But I think it's worth it because as I was watching you, all the little tricks that you needed to do on Jimmy's fabric, for instance, You needed. Remember the cat with the bag of tricks that he had? What was the name of that cat? That cartoon.
Top Cat?
Was it Top Cat? He had a bag of tricks. Remember Felix? Felix the cat.
Oh, okay, right, okay.
And he used to have a bag of tricks.
Okay.
This required an upholsterer's bag of tricks, this fabric.
Right, because again, the arm itself is a lesson for anybody knowing one cut fabric, and basically how to wrap it around something that
Yep.
is not seen too much.
I mean, on this chair, if I had to, there's cutting the fabric, there's pleating, there's you're going to be hand stitching, there's where to put a seam on an inside arm, transitioning from an inside arm to an inside wing.
Hey, Randy.
So you'll have to just buy the video. This will be titled, I think, Patrick, the wing chair video. The wing chair's going to be in there somewhere.
And Jimmy as he's flying away.
Jimmy's little angel wings, little cherub. Jimmy's a little
You
cherub.
guys in marketing kill me.
I know, we got a whole department. They're
Yeah,
after
yeah,
you.
yeah. One in. Yeah.
I bet you've never been called a cherub before, Jimmy. Do they call
what?
you cherub? A cherub? A little
Cherub?
That's a little angel, with the wings.
No, other things, but not that.
I guess they haven't called you that because okay,
They're waiting for
Eddie, yeah,
that.
move on.
we'll move on. How is that upholstery
You said
related,
no
Jimmy?
further
Shut up.
than
Get off.
Yeah. Keep it going. Keep it going. Yeah. No, yeah.
We try to keep to the now, Jimmy.
You don't keep to
I
anything.
will
This guy-
interrupt.
Oh.
When we were talking about transportation, and Jimmy did allude to the cushioning on inside the carriages, which made it upholstery related. So that was good. Thank you very much for that, Jimmy.
Yeah. I
Can you describe that cushion though a little bit? If that
Well,
was
at
from
least it had to be 2 to 3.
Oh,
Yeah, I'd say
exactly.
2
What
inches.
was it made? Now remember, you're in 1860. You're
Goose
going
down.
down to Dallas City. No goose down.
Well before phone.
You're going to Dallas, you're on the back country road, and you're sitting on the cushion. You're sitting there, right? And so
Why don't you go, yeehaw? Well, yeehaw.
So what? First of all, what is it made of?
Straw.
Straw's a good guess, and I bet there was straw cushions, but I see more horsehair in the interior. So what did the cushion look like?
Well, probably. I mean, obviously, form fitting to the width of the carriage.
Yeah.
Again, 2 inches high. at
2 inches
least.
is a good guess. And what about buttons? I visualize buttons.
Oh yes. Well, I mean, if you're going to go in even though you're sitting on that cushion, you want to be able to say, "Look at those tufted buttons."
You know why they put buttons in a lot of times? Because those little air pockets that the dents make kind of holds the cushion a little bit better. I don't know if you knew that.
Well, yeah, because you're not having that loose fabric that
Right.
becomes, all of a sudden now it becomes probably another shape
Right.
after a while.
I would imagine some of the fancier carriages would have tassels
Well, yeah.
and maybe fringe,
Well, there we go.
around the windows too. The windows probably, the whole carriage on the interior may have been upholstered.
Well, if you have a custom, you have everything.
You have a beautiful carriage.
You have everything.
But I don't care how well padded it is, man. You're gonna go hit a rock in the middle of a road like that. You're gonna go flying.
Yeah, they don't have struts back then.
No
so-
seat belts either.
No.
You know what a seat belt was? Your fellow passenger would reach over and try to hold you.
Yeah. Well, they show that in some of the movies once in a while.
I don't know. I was.
I mean, think about it. The wheels are not forgiving.
I never
Even though
rode in one, so I never thought about it.
You never took your wife on a carriage ride anywhere?
Oh no, the carriage that you're thinking about, what do they call those carriages in New York? We should know this. What do they call those carriages in New York with the one horse? They call them something. They're buggies. A
Right.
buggy's different than a carriage.
Okay.
To me, a buggy has those big iron suspensions.
Yes, like
So-
it's suspended right in the middle of the frame.
Those ones, I bet, are an easier ride than the ones the overland carriages,
Oh, yeah,
the beginning of time in the West.
God, yeah. So,
But anyhow, let's move on.
okay. So, how to upholster, this is from Bahama Mama. How to upholster outside
Handsome
back.
cab.
Handsome cab,
Okay.
Jimmy. You should have known that. You're a
Yeah.
New Yorker by. Oh boy, you like the New York Rangers? Sorry, Jimmy. We know that he's a big Bruins fan. I just crossed the line, an invisible line there. Sorry.
If everybody could just look away from me.
Let's
So-
say the staple guns within reach.
Yeah, it is loaded and ready to go.
Did you see that stable, guys? They had a story about that. Somebody it was a make believe story on one of these make believe stations, make believe newscasts.
Oh,
They said an upholsterer was murdered by his staple gun. It was all made up.
Of course, yeah, and you must have called up and said, "Hey, I got a story for you." So
No.
anyway, let's get through this. Bahama
Okay.
Mama, how to upholster the outside back of a dining room chair. Basically, they said, beautiful work. And this is the next one is the Upholstery Show Live Happy Thanksgiving Day show from Janine. A great question and answer, great value in the quote section for tips as well as pricing. Always great fun. And the last one is how to upholster the 1860s chair part 6.
Speaking of the Wild West,
Double piping from Linda. Thank you. You're awesome. I'm learning a lot from you.
oh, that's great. Is that
I
all?
think she said Jim. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Is that all?
That's it.
That's it for the YouTube.
It's a holiday week.
That's true. What do we expect? Moving right along,
Unless
unless
want to
there are
talk about
questions.
my coconut cream pie. I mean, that's,
Well, no.
oh, the hell with you then. God almighty.
Do you have anything to add to
No, what?
to YouTube? I think I had
No.
something to add, which
Okay,
is
go ahead.
we probably could do many more YouTube videos if they had an overhead. Patrick has all this set up. He could bring an overhead camera to my shop and just show me working all day. But I don't think that that's a great way to present the upholstery, especially to people who are trying to learn.
Right.
Because you'd be surprised. It's like, I don't want to call it sleight of hand, but it reminds me of sleight when I'm moving, and I'm moving fast. I'm moving so fast that I don't even think the
It's
camera
second
could
nature
pick
to
it up.
you now.
And I'm not talking, I know there are other stations, and I'm not downing them. I think that they probably add to the whole bucket list, right, of things that, people need.
Right.
But I don't think I could do that. I don't think we could do that. We could have Patrick,
I think you should, before you dismiss it completely, see if people would want to see something like that.
Maybe we should ask.
Yeah,
Maybe
if
we
they
should
wanna see
ask
something
people.
like
Why don't
that.
we ask them? Would you like to see a guy just working away without
Well, I mean, I
explaining?
think
I
it's-
wouldn't be explaining anything, Patrick. I'd just be moving along.
Well, I think your talking would be of the minimum.
right? No,
You know,
just
when
be
you
working.
yeah, because I mean, you're talking about okay, we're gonna restuff. I'm gonna do this. It's basically like a DIY show. You're gonna see something done being started,
Right.
but you're not going step by step. You're gonna catch it probably like quarter of the way in, half of the way in, and then when you finally like the last, let's say the piping or whatever you're gonna do, boom.
I want you to talk about this. How many different steps? I mean, a lot of
Oh.
people can't see what's behind this.
No.
So I want
Well, I
you to
think-
talk about the steps on this.
Well,
what
I
we
think
did.
again we show one side of it how it's done now, and everybody can see. Oh wow, that's really great. But with this lesson again, if it wasn't for Kevin here, oh my God, I think I'd still be doing the arm itself. It was a ton of work, and really got to have a good mindset and a good approach to this, and of course a lot of experience because these arms to this particular chair is just unique. I've never seen it before. You probably have only seen
No,
it.
this I've not seen a chair quite like this.
Okay.
So you have to. I mean, this chair required a lot of problem solving, and I always mention that problem solving is such a big thing in upholstery. If you like to problem solve, upholstery is your trade.
Yes.
You know,
I mean, I never expected that, this we would, number one, be down to almost the bare bones with this
Yeah.
chair.
I mean, if you had a same style, if you had 10 chairs the same style, and you had 10 different fabrics to upholster those 10 chairs, each one would be different.
Yes. This
The
one's a little
fabric,
bit
your
harder.
fabric here has no stretch whatsoever any way.
No.
So it lays just flat.
Yeah.
So that means that there's no room for error. If you overcut one thing, you're finished because you can't
Well, I
stretch
mean,
it.
for those people who may buy the lesson, you'll see how the whole from the inside to the outside arm, how it got.
Those are called
basically-
transitions. And
Yes.
we talk a lot about transitioning. Like, well, I'll let you. I want to
No, go ahead,
save
go
that.
ahead.
No, I want to save it for you. I want you to talk about that. But right now, if you've got anything else to talk about,
No.
we're
you're
going to
an
go right
example
to Patrick. Do you
Well,
have?
season so far, 3 people have said they like the explanations rather than just
Okay.
the work. So.
I mean, too much talk is better than not enough, right?
Well, I think when
When
you're
you-
trying
when
to
you're
do
doing
a
this.
certain technique that maybe, again, this is a unique chair in a way, you want to try to explain, okay, this is how we approached it this time.
Right.
And like you say, I was just thinking of another chair that I had done where it was more pliable, where the
Right.
fabric was.
Right.
And so you're saying, okay, now I don't have to do the cutting as much.
Right.
I can kind of mold it
Right.
versus cutting it this
Right.
time.
So we were challenged with this, but there was a lot more problem solving that went along with this because of the fabric and the chair itself, the framing. I guess you guys will have to buy the online class to see
Well,
what I
we
mean
can
by
show
that.
them. I mean,
We
they'll see
can.
both
We
sides.
can give them a
of the chair
sneak
anyway.
preview. How's that sound?
Well, yeah, that'd be kind of a nice thing if you
Yeah.
guys want to do that.
Do we have any other questions, comments before I get to the Facebook, Patrick?
Yeah, go ahead with those.
You're going to throw the Facebook up there?
You start with the red one. I think that was the first post that went off.
Okay, this is from Sarah Penner. From Sarah. Very excited to share the beautiful find with you guys. Picked it up for almost nothing. Scared to start it as I am a newbie in upholstery world. The wood needs work too. That's more in my area of know-how. Do you have a specific lesson course for upholstering this type of sofa? Well, we do have. We just talked about the diamond
There it is
tufting.
up now.
The diamond tufting video that we have on the free YouTube channel. And I think for the rest of it, Jimmy's settee class would be a really good class for you to buy. I think it's $49.99, Patrick.
No, that one's $59.99.
$59.
30, almost 30 lessons.
Okay. Oh, that's why it's $10. $10 more. I still think it's a good value, Jimmy, don't you?
Well, I think I'm worth it anyway. So I mean, what? Yeah, do it.
But we haven't heard from the union yet. I know we're being pressured by Jimmy's the SAG, the union, to give him more pay. I promised him the platform shoes to give him a raise, but that's not enough.
Yeah, the coffee's cold. It's a couple of days old. You know, do you want that coffee in back, Jim? Well, when did you get it, Kevin? Oh, last Wednesday. Isn't today like?
Oh, Jimmy,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's cool though, isn't it? Look at that thing.
Well, I did want to, on the serious, Jimmy, did you see this?
No.
I'll give you this,
I
Jimmy.
mean,
So I think
Oh.
that what is very
Oh.
important, isn't that something?
oh, that is a beautiful piece of work.
What's extremely important on this job is if you can keep the tufting on the back. Definitely I'd advise keeping. Some people, because of price constraints, will tell you, I don't care about the tufting, but that makes the whole piece. But that said, that tufting, I can guarantee you, it's horsehair underneath there. And horsehair is the only good tufting batting that you're going to get. Foam and tufting, yeah, I can do it, but it's not going to last. I don't care what type of foam you
She's
use.
actually on there.
Oh, is she?
So yeah, definitely check out that settee class. Like
I think the settee
yeah.
class, it doesn't have tufting, but the YouTube videos that we have does have tufting. But
Yeah,
the
I
important
saw it.
thing is she shouldn't strip this down to the frame. She could strip it to the frame, but save everything, especially the diamond. If it comes off in one piece, which sometimes it does, you can do that and then put it back on. Reuse it, in other words, that horse that's underneath there. If there's some type of problem that you can't, if it's
Yeah.
been exposed to water or something, then you got another problem. You got a big problem, actually. You've got a big problem. If you want to try to duplicate that with foam, and most people don't want to pay a lot of money for the horsehair. She's looking at a lot of money for new
Well,
horsehair.
I mean, with all of this said and done, I mean, this is at least an 8-foot couch, correct?
Yeah, she's got to remember this is a reupholstery, not down to the frame. I know she's got some woodwork, but you can work around the upholstery. You could take the double pipe. Is that double piping on that, Jimmy?
Yes.
She could just take the double piping off and do a woodwork, try to keep everything else. And then she's going to need to know, I'm not sure, she said she's a newbie. She needs to watch our YouTube videos. She needs to go on Facebook forum, right? A Broadway Upholstery Facebook forum. And she can get help from her other people who are doing similar projects.
That's what she posted. Though.
Oh, that's right. And
That's a different one.
Jimmy
The red
Jimmy
one.
sometimes chimes in, and other people on there chime in and give some good advice. So you could check that out, but I hope that was a help. That's a really exciting piece
See
of
this
furniture.
chair, this sofa?
Yeah.
This is the sofa that I would love to have in my living room.
Well,
Classy.
they're out there, Jimmy. You just got to keep
I am looking.
Yeah.
I mean, that. But how much, if you would have, let's say this was, you wanted diamond tufting, it didn't have any, how much more would that be?
Oh, I'm
How
telling you.
much, honestly?
It's for the labor, and like I said, you guys, if you're going to do this from scratch, you've got to use horsehair. Horsehair is the only thing that works. See how deep those tufts are?
Yeah.
And so the horsehair offers that the batting is appropriate for that type of in-depth, that button that's in, and it keeps its pleats. The problem with the foam is it caves in near the top. When you're doing tufting with foam, no matter what type of foam it is, it tends to cave in, and that's a problem when you're tufting. It results into a lot of wrinkling. But that's so perfect when you look at that. I know that that's horsehair underneath there, so hopefully she can keep that. That would be my biggest tip on that. Any other? Is she making comments or asking questions?
Jimmy is the best.
Thank you.
Upholstery over the old upholstery. Is that bad?
Yeah, sometimes for historical purposes we keep old material. Sometimes.
Well, that Chinoback chair that we did.
Malcolm says that he did it one time. It looked lumpy.
Sometimes though, because of let's say a piece is really old.
Randy disagrees. Says he wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Sometimes there are exceptions. Though. There are exceptions.
She says I'll sell it to Jimmy.
Oh, she said she's going to sell you that sofa.
Wow, that's a beautiful.
I think she's going to charge $10 each button.
Let's start counting.
Well, how long's the show?
Actually, upholsterers used to charge by the button, but you asked a question about how much that would cost. So there'd be a base labor cost on that, let's say, of $2,100, and then it's probably equal that to do the tufting, and then you have a big supply list with that, a big number in the supply list. That would be another $1,000. So you're probably looking at about $5,000 to $6,000 in labor. And
would you have to do the buttons over again?
Oh yeah, we
so
make our own buttons with the fabric that's chosen.
So and there's at least
100 buttons.
At least 100 buttons.
Yeah. Well, they used to. The upholsterers of old used to estimate 20 minutes per button.
Okay.
And then they would charge you by the button. So 20 minutes. Sometimes they would charge you like in the old days, $25 a button, and just add it up that way.
And she says, how many yards of fabric?
Well,
like
on tufting, you need a lot of you need much more fabric on the width and above. So when you're looking at something that's tufted, you have to double it anyhow on the back.
And it's a big piece, so
it's a big piece.
So 8 feet.
Can I see it again for the?
Yep.
She says 7.5 feet long.
Wow. It's a 3-seater. When was the last time you saw it?
It looks heavy. I wouldn't want to move that.
Well,
when was the last time you saw a 3-seater diamond tuft back sofa? I haven't seen one.
That's
in a long
beauty.
Time.
That is beautiful.
So she's talking at least. So when you look at this, you look at the cushions first. Is that still up, Patrick?
Yeah. No, I can put it back up.
Put it up again, just because I think this is a good lesson. Start with the cushions first. You see 2 yards a piece for the cushion, another 2 yards for the seat underneath that. So you're at 8 yards, and then the outside back. If you break it down to the outside arms, another 2. What's that? 10. And another 2 for the outside back, so you're up to 12. And now the inside, really, if that was an upholstered back, you'd talk maybe 4 yards, but with the tufting, you want at least 7. So we're at about 19 yards, bare minimum, I would say. And then she has double piping, but I think we can get that. I would say 18 yards total. And that doesn't, and she's got self-decking here. She may want to consider self-decking is using the fabric. She may want to consider that again because she has 3 cushions and they break, and you don't want to. Sometimes you put a stretch of the fabric underneath, but they chose to self-deck it, which is probably not a bad idea. So you probably had about 19-20 yards of fabric on this project.
So at
you can hold that.
Fair price of say $55-$60 a yard.
More. The average price on fabric today is $88. That's the average price.
So that's almost $2,000.
I should say, that's for a very an average designer, good quality fabric is $88 average. Now, when you guys go out and buy manufactured furniture, I had a sofa that I just recently did, a beautiful Sheraton sofa. So I don't know if you know what that is. It's got a nice wood frame and wood legs. It's a very dainty looking sofa. It's got upholstery on the arms and it's got a cushion. And the fabric that was on there was a manufacturer's fabric that did not perform very well at all. But when I looked at it, I put it up to the light, and it was like you could see, not only could you see through it, you could count the threads
Oh God.
And I would estimate, and Michaela would be interested in this, I would estimate that the double rubs on that was probably about 2,000, if that. So maybe even less. So we recommend at least 25, 30,000 double rubs. And some of our fabrics go up to 100,000. So if you're going to spend the money,
Even more
make
than
sure.
that. I've seen one with like 275,000.
Wow.
Wow.
That's remarkable. That's like you could sit on that forever, Jimmy.
I know. You're amazed because why would they? Again, you talk about it all the time with regard to, you buy a sofa or a love seat today, 3 to 5 years down the road, it's like.
Well, the game is they can't make the frame cheap enough to break because that's going to cause eyes to, your eyes are going to say, hey, the frame's broke on that after 2 years or 3 years or even 4 years. So the frame has to be solid. Mm-hmm. You can't mess with the frame in this way. But you can mess with the fabric because there's always the question, well, we do use it every day. Or the cat did this, or whatever the excuse is.
Always blaming the cats.
So the manufacturing industry wants the fabric to last about 5 to 7 years before seams start to give way or etc.
Right.
So at that point, they want you to consider buying new. So that's how it works. The rotation is every 5 to 7 years. Then people will go back to the store because they almost accept the fact that the fabric didn't last because they blame themselves on it, but that's not true. I mean, upholsterers want when we sell a fabric, I want the fabric to last at least 20 years.
Okay.
15 to 20 years is a good time. And it should be even longer than that. The underneath part, the workmanship part, I want 2 upholsterers in the future to be able to upholster without doing anything. So but the fabric won't last as long as the workmanship underneath the chair.
Right.
You could see from this, Jimmy, all the work that you did on this.
I know. Well, again, this is a very unique frame we ran into, and
Right.
definitely, again, people seeing this if they buy the lesson, they'll see how the obstacles we had to do. What we had.
So
to
can
do.
I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When you were a young boy, did you ever literally, this has happened to me, literally have your hand in the cookie jar when your mother walked into the room? After she told you after the 10th cookie not to have any more cookies, Jimmy?
Well, I just kind of stood there and went,
You,
hey, you see that fly up there, Mom?
So did you or did you not get caught with your hand in the cookie jar?
Well, yeah. She knew. My mother kind of had that, superior hearing. She had great.
You know what? That lid is really hard to take off without making a noise, isn't it?
Well, you know
that
what?
porcelain lid. I think they intentionally did that instead of using like aluminum or something, right?
Yeah, you'd have to like soundproof the lid.
You can't take it off without making clank, clank, clank. The whole house can hear it.
Yeah,
I got a lot of experience here.
We're not like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. Like we lifted up the.
You're hovering over the cookie jar.
Yeah.
Hanging from one of those wires.
Right.
I can see Jimmy now, and his hand comes down, and he plucks the handle, and he goes straight up.
Yeah.
And he takes his cookie.
But then the person holding the cord. Walks away, gets distracted, and walks away. Yeah, that's me.
She says, stick with double piper, or can I go with GIMP?
Piping.
Randy
I
says,
beg your pardon.
I'm not any of those.
What did she say?
Randy says, could go GIMP. I feel double weld is more modern.
Yes, I agree with
Agree with
Randy.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I second the motion.
I thought they were making fun of you.
Oh, like you were going to come to my defense.
What's the matter, Patrick?
Ridiculous.
He is a young person's sense of humor. If this was one of his comedians sitting here, he'd think it's great.
We're kind of like we're trying a new act. So when sometime comes, Patrick, when you guys are way up in Maine or in Nebraska, your father and I are going to take this on the road. Probably won't get far.
No,
probably down
Jimmy,
the road. But
let's face it, Jimmy. We're in the '80s, man. With this humor, we know it. We
Yeah.
know that the only
That's
people
not-
laughing out there are people our age.
people going, I can shut this guy off right now.
The next one's cool. The next Facebook submission.
You know what that means? Speed it up,
No,
guys.
I'm looking at another big piece.
There's another
This
big
is from
piece.
Diana. This is a hard one, you guys. This is a tough one because, well, let me read it. Do you want to read that, Jimmy?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, SG. Descended into chaos, she says.
Oh,
We have this chase coming. Yeah, we have this chase coming into the shop in January. The customer removed and disposed of all the old padding, springs, and fabric. It looks like the cushion had a wire edge because the back rail is about 3 inches higher in the back than the front. So I have a couple of questions about restoring the seat. I have a thought about building up the front rail level with the back and using webbing to create a base to build a seat. But I do not think the back rail is strong enough to hold the webbing. The second idea is to build a platform the same height as the back rail and build a seat on that. Just afraid that it would be too rigid or hard. Any ideas, suggestions are welcomed. The the arm side also has springs, but I can restore that by using webbing and burlap.
I agree with the back. Let's start with the easier part. The
Okay,
back.
you always talk about starting from scratch. I mean, look at this.
This is a problem
You see
because
the picture of it? Right there?
yeah, they
I mean,
took they. She doesn't have any. The only clues she has are the spring. You could see the outline of the springs that were in there, and that's the only clue she has. Everything's been thrown away, which is really unfortunate. But I don't think she should do a wire edge at all. I think let's start with the back first. I think Diana, you're on the right track with the back. You could just web it and add, foam if you want. If you want to get fancy, you could do some horsehair on that. But you'll know that's probably the easier part. Okay, the harder part is the seat, and I think that if I'm not mistaken, that back should come off. It's screwed on in the back. Patrick had to leave, so I can't see your comments. But let me just finish the whole thought. So definitely the back has to come off for you to do the work. I definitely don't think you should do webbing on the top. You're thinking about doing webbing on the top. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think structurally that's going to work. I think you need springs on the seat. I think you need probably a number 2 spring. Where the springs that you see and attach them, the way to attach that you probably know is to take webbing. And they used to use tacks with the webbing, but near your wire edge of the spring. And you could secure that though with staples would be better. And then make sure though you put a big ball of cotton underneath that last rung near the wood so that it doesn't make a noise, okay? It's not ideal to go into wood, but you don't want to take that wood out. That's part of the whole piece, and I think structurally it's not a good idea. So I think you definitely need a hard edge. Don't go wire edge. I hate wire edges. I don't think wire edges work at all. I don't like them. They don't last as long, and they lose their shape in a very short amount of time. So she's going to build that front edge up. She's going to put a number 2 spring. She's going to 8-way tie those on the seat, and then she's going to burlap them, and then she's going to put rubberized horsehair over that.
Wow.
Okay. The rubberized horsehair just smooths out the spring work, as we know. And then she's going to want some type of a crown, but not a heavy crown on this, because it's a chaise. It's flatter than, let's say, a chair, just because of the rectangular shape, really. But then over the rubberized horsehair, she might want to put maybe a 2-inch piece of foam. Oh, and on the hot edge that she creates, she may want to put in a piece of edge roll. Right, edge roll around the front. The back's the easy. When I said the inside back, I meant the inside back that you rest on. The other inside back, the decorative inside back, it gets very little upholstery. It's almost like an afterthought on this. So you don't. It's not used for. You look at it again. Jimmy's looking at quizzingly.
Well,
It doesn't get a lot of padding. Now sometimes they tuft that, so we have no way of knowing. Can I see it again? Maybe there's a clue there. Let me see. No, they didn't tuft that because there are no holes. Sometimes you'll see holes, and that's where the twine came through to put buttons in. So this wasn't even buttoned. This was just a straight back, but very little, maybe an inch piece of foam, and that's it. And Diana, I hope that answers your question. Michaela, can you see if Diana's asking more questions on that? That's a lot, isn't it, Jimmy? It's a lot to digest.
God, wow. We got 2 big projects. I mean, I'm curious to see. I would have been curious to see how it all kind of got broken down as you went.
I can guarantee you they had straw in there
Yes.
or horsehair, old
I mean,
batting.
a beautiful piece of furniture.
She's not restricted to using, old batting. Sometimes foam is better to use. Sometimes I use I mix things. It's totally, that's where the artistic part of being an upholsterer
So
comes
how many
in.
total springs is there?
You
I
can
mean,
count them.
So there's
Why don't you
probably
count them?
25?
You see 25 rings on the seat? Just the seat. She doesn't need to put
5.
springs on the back. That's a little overkill, if you ask me. If you were going to put
17.
springs, 17 on the seat.
Yeah.
And make sure that you get the gauge that she knows enough that the gauge on the seat springs is a heavier gauge than if she was going to use on the back spring. Back spring's a lighter gauge spring.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know that, but I think springs on inside backs are ridiculous, to be honest with you. Especially, they weren't ridiculous in the beginning of upholstery because we didn't have soft foam. But now that we have soft foam, or even the medium ultra foam, you couldn't tell the difference between a back that has springs or a back that's just foam.
Okay.
The seat's a different thing. She may want to.
I
consider
definitely
the
think I
springs
would
the
love to see this as she builds on it.
I think Diana's very good about posting on the
I
Facebook. If
will
she could
be-
do that for us, that would be great.
I'd love to see it.
As we move
love
along.
to see this.
Okay, Jimmy, are there any other questions or comments, Michaela, right now that we need to catch up on?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, Jimmy, I would like you at this point, Jimmy, to give your thesis.
Undivided attention.
A thesis on South African hummingbirds and how they react to the environment as it stands now.
You still haven't stopped drinking since Thursday, right? Thanksgiving was Thursday, correct? Am I wrong? Am I right or wrong about that? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? I sound like the salesman in what is that? Groundhog Day.
See-
Am I right? Am I right? Am I right?
See Patrick Lee's, and you think it developed into chaos before. Somewhat, Jimmy's moving all the equipment in here
Well,
away.
I have to do.
I don't know what he's doing, but he's lost control.
I'm moving in, baby.
No, what Jimmy's going to do, I think you guys might appreciate this segment, and then we're going to get to Michaela, because we got a lot to do too, don't we, Michaela?
We're gonna do it like a quick. We'll give it.
Well, why don't I'm going to let you have all of the limelight, Jimmy.
Limelight. Okay.
Yes.
Well, today, Kevin and I, of course, I'll show the second side, but this is what, and I think I may have said it last week too. When we stripped this all down, this was the side view of the arm. Something, of course, when you're trying to push the fabric through, as you can see here, you needed you needed a needle or something to push it through. A pair of pliers probably to pull it through rather in the end. But this was the setup that we had. And, of course, Kevin, again, top piece, bottom piece sewn together in the middle. Both are at the same height. And now today, what we were working on was finish. Of course, we did this today. So we basically stuffed the side a little bit. We're going to next week on the lesson. What we'll do is stitch all of this all the way down here, and what we'll do on the other side is we're going to use the. I don't know what we'll do on the other side, but what we had was basically it's trying to stretch all of this out, and again stuff it up, and hopefully probably in about 2 or 3 weeks you should be done with this part. So I don't know what else Kevin may want to add to this. I kind of gave you the Reader's Digest version because I know there's another segment here today. So I don't know, Kevin, if you want to.
Yes. So, the different components, different parts of what we did. So I think what I heard you say, Jimmy, was that we first, on the outside, there was a little opening here, a little hollow. We filled that up with cotton. Then we put a full layer of cotton over and we stapled it on there. And then the trimming was we feathered it to this edge to remain a crisp edge, part of those transitions that we talk about.
Right.
And then when you trimmed up here, you trimmed it away from the cardboard tacking tape in order for your stitching to work better, right?
Right.
So there's two ways of trimming. One is to the edge, one is a little bit back, away from the piping or the edge. And then what we did was we put our fabric on. The first thing is we didn't just start folding it. We had it oversized and you pinned it and pin tacked. Then we took a piece of chalk and we chalked it. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we cut
And
that
then you
out.
trimmed it back and then you pinned it again. And then after you did that, we put the piping on in between there. We missed a big step. Even I missed it. We put the piping on. We pin tacked the piping first.
Right.
It looked good. You stapled it. Then we put the cardboard tack tape on with
To hold that.
pin tacks, and then you stapled it, and that cardboard tacking tape is used to make this tight so when you stitch it, it doesn't roll on you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, and then what you did, the first adjustment, you pulled a little bit here, and you got it tight. Now next week, we have to actually adjust it even more.
Okay.
So
now,
we-
was that before we're gonna start sewing?
Yes, you need to make sure that it is nice and
Taut.
right where it should be, nice and taut, and it requires a little bit more. You see, you got a little sag here, but
Yeah.
that's okay because it was the first pinning.
Okay.
So that's it, Jimmy. Would you like to take another seat? But before you sit down, this isn't middle school. You got a live staple gun in your seat, and we don't want any
Well,
accidents.
yeah. Thank you for.
Could you imagine, Jimmy, if you sat on that?
I'll tell you what. I'll put it on your seat, and you're gonna see.
I wouldn't want that to happen to you because
Oh.
I don't know if I could help you.
There's
a joke there
I'm feeling the
somewhere.
pain now.
So right now, this is believe it or not, this is the favorite pod that people wait for because,
What about
You know,
me?
well, yeah. I
mean,
guess
I rehearsed this all week.
I know. You
And
went.
I-
We sent Jimmy to acting school and
And
dance
it
school
bombed.
too. When we there's a dance school called the Fred Astaire Dance School around
Down
here.
the street.
Down the street. We're going to send you there too as well. Just kind of present yourself a little bit better to the furniture that you
Well,
do.
then Patrick had better turn the camera to where the door is, so when they start coming in, I can do a little bit of soft shoe or something like that.
That's true. A little
Well,
tap dancing.
maybe you and I could do.
Oh,
it.
no, that's okay. All right, you ready, Michaela? You got some questions from people, our customers, asking about emailing and all that?
Yes. Do you want to start with the estimates first and then do that one information?
Yeah, we'll start with the
inquiry?
estimates. So, what's the first one?
Okay, so scroll down. There's one from November 26th.
Is that
Aaron.
okay? So you can read that.
I am looking to have 2 armchairs reupholstered. I'm looking for an overall cleaner look. I would love to get rid of the tufted style. Also, we have a dog, so looking for a fabric that does not show the stains and fur as easily. Chair rough dimensions are 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet at its widest points. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Oh boy.
Is that even possible, getting rid of the tufting for that?
You know, I'm gonna say that it presents too many problems getting rid of the tufting, and that we would only do it with the tufting. Changing it, well, because she's willing to pay for it. I'm stopping myself a little bit because of the slope of the. You see how it slopes, you guys? Be very careful here. It's got, the arms have like a little slope, and you know, it's such a curve that a lot of fabrics won't work without the tufting. So her choices are going to be limited, but I don't want to get into this with her. So I think in this case, I would just say, no, it needs to be done the same. There's a lot of, if she wants to ask what the reasons are, we can go into a long explanation, but for now, we'll say, we think the chairs would be better off as they are. Style changes on these would be quite difficult, or whatever you want to say. But the cost on a tufted piece like this would be, we're talking about $1,100 each, and we're talking about 6 yards each. Okay? Jimmy, would you unplug that? Thanks. Jimmy's officially lost his concentration here, you guys. He's on his phone. He's not answering questions. He's kind of tired because Jimmy wakes up early in the morning. He's in the transportation business, like I said before.
Do you ever stop by and say, Jim, thinking of you, here's a copy? You just drive right by. I want to thank you for those.
You're welcome, Jimmy.
Yeah.
You know, think of all the coffees that could have been, or would have been, or should have been. Would have, should have,
Jimmy,
could have
would you
been.
like a Danish?
Right,
Would
Patrick?
you like a raspberry Danish or would you like a lemon Danish? Thinking of you, Jim.
Always
I'm having one right now and I'm thinking of you. Just letting you know. Thanks.
Michaela's the serious one. She says, get on with this. You're right, Michaela. You are always right about that. He always transcends into... Never mind. All right, ready?
All right, so the next one is from Emily, November 27th.
Is that the mid-century? Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got real mid-century furniture. Look, you guys, the label tells it all. And she's got, oh, these are interesting chairs. I've done these before. They're really nice, stylized chairs. See that, Jimmy?
Oh, yeah. I like those.
She's got two of them. They're different styles.
Yeah,
The second one
two
is,
of them.
Wait a minute, is it the same style or different? Or just different fabric? It's the same chair with different fabric, Michaela. Did you see that? She's got two chairs that are the same style. So,
So
And
she,
you guys moved the mic.
I didn't. When you left,
I've just been made aware. I leave the room for 1 second and the whole studio's turned upside down.
Jimmy stopped
Yeah.
moving things when you left.
Is it back?
I don't know why you moved it.
Yeah,
Well, I didn't want to knock it over. God forbid I
Okay.
ruin the only thing that's...
All right. He was being conscientious.
Is that what that was?
Or unconscious, either one. Ready for the next one? This one here is going to be, Michaela, $1,100 each.
well, so she says she needs repair and upholstery.
What type of repair is she talking
She
about?
just says that needs some repair and upholstery. So is that wood?
No, this is just upholstery. If she's, we don't know what she's asking, so you have to ask her if this is to get that done separately before you bring it to us. But the upholstery is $1,100 each, plus 5 yards each. Is Janine on there, Patrick? Any of our Australian fans on there? But Janine always watches this, right? Because it's the hours of, right? So we're going to be getting to something that Janine's going to help us out with in a minute. We're asking for Janine's help for somebody else. If she's willing to do that, would be great. A fellow Aussie is looking for help in upholstery.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah.
not serious, don't worry. What were you thinking about our
I was ready to jump on that plane.
kangaroo attack or something?
Yeah, they are vicious,
Oh, they're tough. I've seen them boxing people. They're boxers, man.
Don't mess with them.
So there's one more estimate from November 27th, Johanna.
Johanna. And there's no picture? Do you want to read that?
Yep. She says, we have 2 overstuffed chairs and at least 1 sofa,
Ooh.
possibly 2.
Wow, good job.
Do you pick up the furniture? Could we get a guesstimate on what each piece would cost? My parents had them done in floral, Ethan Allen. I will try to send photos. They are in good shape, but just not our taste. Thanks for letting us know roughly on what we might be looking at. Hope to do in coming months. Right now we are in the middle of cleaning and it's not a good time to get this done.
Yeah, tell them we definitely need to see pictures. We can pick up, especially if she's local. I mean, she could be calling from anywhere, right? But I noticed that exchange is a local exchange. So you could say if you're within driving distance, I guess. Is that a good way to say it? So we could, depending on where you live, we could talk about pickup and delivery, I guess. But we definitely need to see the pictures. But this is Ethan Allen Furniture is a good brand name, and I think she's referring to Ethan Allen, the furniture company, not the fabric. And people send us these without pictures. One person's idea of an overstuffed chair is not another person's idea of an overstuffed chair. And sofas come in all different lengths, varieties. So I mean, there's very little information about what she has in this description here that she has. So photographs are everything to us. It just saves us so much time. Let me know when you're ready, Michaela.
Yep, I'm ready. And then that last one is the inquiry.
Yeah, this is interesting. I think people will find this interesting. Can you read that?
So this is from Rebecca. She says, I purchased a dining set off the marketplace and have gathered it is much older than I originally thought. I am all the way in Australia and the local stores are all antique dealers, and I am not interested in selling my set. I just want to restore it. My plan is to take your online upholstery course, but want to make sure I have everything I need because I would hate to get started and then wait for international shipping. I have attached pictures of the chair. Would you recommend the Eastlake or the carved mahogany course? I was wondering if you could be able to advise on these, if the springs and webbing need replacing, and what fabric should have been on this chair before somebody covered it in a disgusting vinyl. Do you do international shipping of tools and supplies? So far I have determined that I have handmade tacks and not elastic webbing. The original materials, well, at least what was under the tacks, is a little confusing. It feels like a denim on the underside, but I can't work out if it's an early synthetic fabric or if some monster has painted over a fabric. I would be happy to pay for a video consult if that would be easier.
I don't think she's at a video consult. Actually, video consult we don't do right now. We're not doing. But I have a really good suggestion. It doesn't sound like Rebecca's aware of the Facebook upholstery, Broadway Upholstery on Facebook. Definitely sign up for that. Jimmy is the administrator to that, and he does a good job.
Yeah,
of,
it's been slow the last couple of weeks.
Of catching up with people, and I recommend that because there's some fellow Aussies on the Facebook. I won't mention names yet because I haven't asked her, but I'm gonna. She knows who she is, Janine. If she's watching this, usually she
I'm not going to mention. Then
she watches this later. But I think she would be a fantastic source for you because we've been through this with Janine about international shipping, Patrick.
Well, I think she was asking about an online class.
Well, first let's talk about the international.
She's asking about the online class and if we even do
online class is no shipping.
If we do
Right.
international shipping.
We don't do international shippings, but I want to address that first because it's just I'm thinking about it. We went through this with other people from Australia. The cost of shipping, we could take a plane trip over there for less. So you need to source in Australia, but when you go on the Facebook, when you go on the forum, throw it out there. You can even write it out there and say you need help in Australia for supplies. And then on the online classes, Patrick, I think I would recommend you have that bundled in certain. You have that bundled in a way. What do you suggest, Patrick? She's new to this. She wants to learn. Actually, she could throw that out to people too on the Facebook forum who have taken our classes. I kind of like the fact that you bundled them together for a better deal for people. It sounds like she needs more than just one class.
Right.
So she should, and then she's going to get an idea too if she goes on the upholstery on Broadway. So we have all these resources. Sometimes I don't even think about it, But if
you
she
have
goes,
so many things available.
Yeah.
Personal lessons, again,
Right.
we do the classes here. But the YouTube is like the introduction.
right.
And to a point, kind of a smaller lesson, but maybe a more precise lesson.
Right, and she could check out the Upholstery on Broadway store to see what we have available in this country for tools and supplies, and we kind of have those bundled in kit form. She can get an idea what she needs through through that site,
I just
Upholstery
can't
on Broadway.
believe the price of shipping.
Oh,
It's
it's
My,
ridiculous.
I remember of course, my brother lived in Australia for 40 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We wanted to ship something, or he wanted to ship something. It was only a tube.
Yeah,
It was only about so big.
right.
$80, and this was
Wow.
like 10 years ago.
Forget about it.
I thought,
Forget
oh
about
my
it.
God, this is insane.
I think we have a question, Patrick.
Oh no, I was just adjusting the camera.
What?
She said we do have a question though. What about shipping to Canada?
We've shipped, I think, to Canada, Patrick.
I'd say it depends where it is. If it's not, well, what if it's on the West Coast, like in Vancouver?
we
That's
can
going to
always.
be definitely more expensive. I mean, it costs more
Yeah.
money just to ship to the west coast of.
Unfortunately,
US.
Would it
Eastern.
be-
I mean,
Would it be cheaper to go by freight?
freight's usually bigger,
Yeah,
bigger
bigger.
items.
Okay,
Bulk items.
okay.
There's.
but no, it depends. I say it depends on where she is in Canada. But we do ship. We could be able to ship to all of Canada. It's going to be more.
We
depending
could
on where
ship
you are.
anywhere. It's just that if people are willing to pay for
Well,
it.
yeah. it's-
And it's too bad because Janine, other people who from Australia really want to support us.
Yes,
so
I mean,
that's
I
a
think
way to
it's-
support us. But if the shipping, I don't blame people if the shipping is exceeding like $80 for a tube 25 years ago.
Right.
Can you imagine what that same tube is
Oh
now?
my God, I almost dropped when they told me. I
Right.
thought there's a mistake here.
Right.
So we would recommend going for the entire class bundle.
I think so. For somebody like she sounds like she's real serious from the way she wrote. I think
You know
she-
what to
she
do?
can
Maybe
that.
sell her 1 or 2 classes, and if she wants all in, to give her whatever price you do for the whole thing.
There's no shipping on the online classes.
Oh no, but I'm saying just as an introduction,
Right.
whatever she wants.
And I think she definitely has, she should hook up with her Aussie friends over there who will give her some tips on
Oh yeah.
all kinds of things. And the Facebook forum's the best place to do that.
Oh yeah.
And that's Broadway, right, Patrick? Broadway Upholstery, is that what it is on Facebook, Pat?
Broadway Upholstery School Forum.
Okay.
Yeah. She said she's in Alberta. Sarah. I think it was Sarah was the one who submitted that red cows run.
Right.
Sarah, she's SSS.
I mean, we could always quote.
Alberta. That's close to where we were. South Dakota.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's right above that.
We
So
could
that'd
always
be
quote-
that'd probably be in the middle. That's in the
Yeah.
middle, so it'd be. Yeah, we can figure it out.
We could
depending on what
quote-
she wants.
We
to
could
get.
quote shipping especially if she has a large order that it makes it worth our while. I mean, one hammer, I don't know if that's, if she wants to go on the Upholstery on Broadway and do a little shopping and then let us know what she was interested in. We could get some shipping costs to her, but I don't think she's going to find, when she goes on there, Patrick, and she puts in shipping, is that going to be a current shipping price to Canada, or is that, what
Yeah, that's up in a database.
It
Luckily,
is?
we don't have to keep changing that. Yeah.
You
it's-
mean she's going to find the real cost for herself if she goes on?
Well, no, like our program on the thing adjusted. It's not like
Right.
it just stayed from
It's
where.
attached
yeah.
to what, UPS?
Yeah,
But I
something like
mean-
that. The live.
So
If she
whatever
goes on there-
whatever UPS has.
Yeah, she doesn't have to pay for it
updates
first. She can see what's going to be.
She's going to see what it's
Yeah,
going
Yeah.
to cost.
see what it
Okay.
is without
I'm glad they
paying
know
for
what
it.
they're doing, Jimmy. Did
Yeah,
you hear
but
that?
you and I don't.
So Deborah says for Minnesota it's about 150. So I'd say what, maybe 50. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't want to say anyway.
And then you got to worry about customs. You never know what's going to happen at customs. But no, we don't want to discourage somebody from trying to support us. So just send that. Just go on Upholstery on Broadway and see what it comes out to. As a matter of fact, be interesting to see what our Australian friends what the shipping would be
Well,
for.
we already went through that. We already found out.
I know,
Rose, yeah.
All
But
right.
Canada shouldn't be too bad. I'd
Shouldn't
say.
be.
We can always. Yeah.
So, is there anything else, Michaela?
No, I think that's it.
I think our studio audience here is falling.
I'm looking for
Sleep.
I'm gonna
something.
zoom right in on it.
So,
Falling asleep.
I got a question for you. I mean, because we kind of hit rock bottom here. What about beans? When you buy canned
bottom?
beans, canned
What
beans.
the hell are you talking
I'm
about?
talking about
Rock?
canned beans.
I think he's still hungover from his turkey.
I'm talking about canned beans.
How much turkey did
do you get
have?
the waxed canned beans, or do you get the other canned beans that aren't unwaxed?
Yeah, it's a
I just wanted to.
very disturbing thought.
I
You and beans. I don't want to get into that.
no beans, not
Yeah,
you.
beans. Yeah.
No, green beans.
Ah, okay.
So
Did you
That's
do
not
the
on
green bean casserole thing?
no, but the reason I bring it
I
up.
have something you could mention.
Yes.
Classes 3 and 4 just went up from
What was that? Place is haunted.
classes 3 and 4 just went up of the Shellback.
That's important, Jimmy. Why didn't you think of that to announce that?
Well, yeah, I didn't get the inter-office memo. Thank
Well,
you very much. You
I don't know
know,
why, but the reason I brought
bad
up
enough I can't even get a goddamn
Which in
free
that-
coffee. You know?
In that
Uh-oh.
class, oops. In that class, Jimmy did burlap and edge roll, and he stuffed the seed. So that was a
and he
good
needs to stuff his mouth.
one. Yeah. Well, it's fitting. I think that was the class where I had to beep out that thing. So
Yeah,
it lines
but
up nicely.
we will remind Jimmy that we are live.
There goes our monetization.
I'm telling you, we're finished. The reason I brought up the beans, are we all done with our business on there, Patrick?
Are you
I
going
think
back
so.
to? Why don't we do a cooking show instead?
No, the reason.
So 3 to 4 is up, guys.
We-
If you want to check that
That's
out.
right. The reason I wanted to mention the beans is because we officially are at the bottom now. We bottomed out, so we're gonna have to retool the next
Well,
for the
good
next
timing.
fight.
1 hour in.
Retool.
Yeah, we're gonna have to retool.
What?
Pull the plug, Patrick. Pull it. That's it. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.
Oh my God,
See what
man.
happened there? I mean,